All right. Happy Wednesday, Rolling Out family. This is your host, Crystal Jordan. And this is Reality Check coming to you midweek with an exclusive with someone that is very, very special to me. And we are talking about a moving project that's actually going to air on Monday. You all, please help me welcome Dyllon Burnside, or as some of you may recognize him as Ricky from Pose. Welcome, Dyllon.
What's up?
How are you? Where are you?
I'm doing well. I am in Harlem, USA,
Okay.
in New York City. It's freezing cold. We had a blizzard on Monday, and so I'm in my apartment thawing out right now.
Okay. Well, stay warm. I'm glad you got a chance to talk to us. You are, like I said, I have a lot of history with you. It's so good to see you. I'm so proud of everything that you're doing. Like I said, most people probably recognize you on the mainstream from Pose. You do such a great job as Ricky, but you are here to talk to us about All Boys Aren't Blue.
Yes.
All Boys Aren't Blue. So you know what? I want to play the trailer first, and then we'll let you just kind of, because it's a very moving trailer, and it kind of, I think it says a lot. So I think if we give our audience a chance to see the trailer, and then we can get into the conversation. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The baby's name's gonna be George.
I was 5 years old when my teeth got kicked out. It was my first trauma.
I always thought it was funny that my grandmother had 3 last names. To me and the other grandkids, she was simply Nanny.
I was depressed at the start of second semester. I was having fun, but deep down inside, I hated myself.
2 others grabbed me by the arms and held me on the ground. I screamed for help as it was all I could do.
I had a home because Nanny insured it. When Nanny wanted something done, it got done.
I gave her the biggest smile I ever had since the day I lost it.
Our chapter was established by a founder of the frat in 1907, making us one of the oldest chapters in Black Greek history.
No amount of money, love, or support can protect you from a society intent on killing you for your blackness.
It was time for me to define me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So this is based on a book, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about, well, first of all, how did you get connected with this project?
Well, one of the beautiful things about the work that I do is that I get to meet and be connected to so many wonderfully talented and beautiful human beings. Like you, we met at another period in my journey many years ago. And George, the writer of this memoir, All Boys Aren't Blue, I've met through the creative circles in New York since I've been here. And so, it's really cool. It was really cool to see people sort of rising up together. We've been rising up together along, just like, my career has been flourishing and taking off. George's has as well. And it's such a beautiful thing. So that was my first connection to the piece, was that I just knew George from the Black artistic creative scene, particularly Black queer artistic scene in New York City. And Nathan Hale Williams, who directed this piece, reached out to me about being a part of it. And it's like, I have this piece that I'm directing. Would you be interested? And I was like, absolutely. I love George. And I love the work that George is doing and everything that they represent. And so I jumped at the opportunity.
Well, I think when I watched the trailer and I watched that piece from you, it struck me because, like I said, I met you years ago when you were really young and you were at a different place in your life. And as I've listened to interviews and watched you, because I actually media trained you, so I was like, But I know that that those stories you could relate to in certain ways, right? Just and then hearing about Nanny, who's played by Jennifer Lewis, one of my favorites, by the way. She's amazing, but played by her. I know you had a close relationship with your grandmother. So tell me about how, when you're reading the material, preparing for this dramatic piece, and you were very, very good at being able to and reenact things, but how much of that was from your own personal journey that you were able to pull from?
You know, it's really hard to tell. Honestly, it's hard for me as an actor. I can't speak for everyone else, but there's a certain point when you're in the midst of a performance where it's hard to separate how much of what's happening is what's on the page or what was written or what's the character, and how much of it is actually a piece of you. Because at some point or another, it all sort of becomes intertwined. And I think that it has to be in order to come from an authentic place. So, you know, reading George's words, there were many things that were relatable to me. For one, like you said, I have a very close relationship with my grandmother. My grandmother, like George, although my mother was in my life, my grandmother really was like another mother to me, and that was the same for George. His grandmother was just as much a mother to him as his mother was, and his mother was in his life every day. George's pronouns are they, them. And so I could relate to that. I could relate to the title, All Boys Aren't Blue. I think that speaks volumes about what it is that the book is about, but also about this sort of movement to understanding identity as not being cookie cutter, as not being so simplistic the way that we all like to sort of think that, you know, okay, we're gonna have a boy. People want to do these gender reveal parties, and you know, they automatically think that the child is supposed to like blue, or we teach children that they're supposed to be like certain things or gravitate towards certain things because of the gender that they are assigned at birth, the genitalia that exists between their legs. But kids have identities, kids have feelings, kids have personalities that want to be expressed and that want to be explored. And so I was all about this mission of helping propel this story forward.
When I was looking over some interviews that you've done recently, and I know you were honored by GLAAD, and you talked about the danger of toxic masculinity. So it makes sense that this would be a project that would mesh well with some of the work that you've done, or at least some of the conversations that you've had around this to try to push us forward as far as educating other people, and then also supporting those that are going through that. Do you feel like things are changing, and is this piece a part of educating people to, you know, I guess the inner workings of that? Because a lot of people may not understand that life, that story, right? So do you think this is an opportunity to educate or support that that idea that, you know, this is not necessarily everyone's story. Everyone's story is not the same. And there are some, I think I read that you said, you know, if I want to practice Mozart or do ballet, that doesn't make me not masculine. So this all kind of supports, this idea really kind of supports the conversation that you had already been having, correct?
Absolutely. It's an extension of the conversation that I'm always having, you know, in my everyday conversations. The conversations I'm having with my therapist, the conversations that I'm having in my work. And as I talk about my work, my life's mission statement is to expand the boundaries of what it means to be a man, what it means to be Black, and what it means to be queer. I think that we have, when we hear Black, when we hear man, when we hear queer, we all have these assumptions. We have these images that we conjure up about what it means to be those things. And I assert that I can be Black, I could be man, I could be queer, and I can defy those expectations. I can defy those assumptions. and it doesn't make me any less Black. It doesn't make me any less. It doesn't make me any less queer. You know, I could rock my oversized hoodie and my glitter nail polish. It's like it's seamless. It just is what it is.
Right.
And so it's an extension of the conversation that I've been having.
Right.
I also, to your other question, do I think things are changing? I do. I think that the fact that we are talking about this topic now is a change out in the open.
Right.
You know, I remember having conversations with you about these sorts of things in private back in 2009. And these were conversations that I never thought could happen out in the open in a public forum for people to join in with, to debate about. I never thought that I would be able to have the career that I have and still be able to have these conversations and interrogate these things out in the open and challenge people to think differently. You know, I think that people like to say that there is some sort of queer agenda or this gay agenda that's being pushed on Black people. If there is, I'm all for it. And I think that Blackness is inherently queer. What I mean by that is that to be Black is to be an outsider. It is to be the underdog. It is to be ridiculed and ostracized for something which you can't control. It's to be other. And that's what queerness is. Queerness, which is why I embrace that as a moniker for my identity. Queerness is, it allows room for flexibility in my identity. It allows room for people to, it invites people to ask questions about who I am. And I think that that's what All Boys Aren't Blue is. It's an invitation into George's story. It's an invitation into this one particular person's journey with their identity. And that's the beautiful thing that we have to come to understand is that when George says all boys aren't blue, although that message speaks to a vast group of people, a vast number of people, George is writing their story, not all these other people's stories. And all of those other people have individual stories that need to be told too. We have to be careful, even when we're telling queer stories, that we don't assume that, oh, this is what it's like for everybody.
For everybody, right. Wow. Yeah, you mentioned, like I said, when I was looking over everything, I actually started crying because I remember having those conversations with you when you were younger. And I can be honest with you, caring very deeply for you and wanting the best and not really knowing what to say, hoping that I said the right things and was supportive. And there was just a lot that I didn't know. So I think these type of things are educational for everybody, so I just wanted to say that to you. I hope that the words I imparted and that support was felt, even though I was probably ignorant to a lot, at that time, because we just don't know. You do the best you can at that time. So I think if I could go back to myself at that time, I would love to have learned more before I had that conversation, right? So asking you, I would love to hear what would you say to yourself at that time? I think you were in your very early 20s at that time. If you could go back and counsel and comfort yourself at that age when you were going through that transitional period, what would you say?
Take your time and take your time to figure it out. And you don't have to have it all figured out right now.
Yeah.
But take your time and be honest with yourself and be honest with the people around you whenever you get ready. I think for me, I'm fortunate enough to be living the life of my dreams. And I've always been clear about what those dreams are. And for me, the biggest thing was just this fear around not being able to achieve those things because of who I am. What I've learned is who I am is exactly what allows me to live my dream. And so I would encourage myself that everything is going to be okay. Take your time, learn the lessons, and just put one foot in front of the next.
Well, it looks like you took that advice because you did. Your career has skyrocketed from Holla If You Hear Me on Broadway to Peter Pan, and then I guess Pose, and so many other things in between that you've been able to do. You got to talk to us a little bit about Pose, because I got, so many people love the show. I actually started watching myself because of you. So, and it's just a phenomenon. It's a very, very beloved show, and your character is done very well. So tell us a little bit about just joining that and how that had to change your career a lot, being on a show that was that big and that highly acclaimed.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is those fears, they come up at every stage in the game. I still have fears about how much do I say? How much do I actually share? How honest can I actually be about all of the things, and do I just stick to the talking points?
Right.
When Pose came about and my agent presented it to me to audition for it, I was terrified of it. I didn't want to audition for that. I was like, okay, I've been able to have a career and not talk about my identity. I've been able to be successful in this certain way and still like live my life honestly with everybody around me, but not really have to talk about it. But I knew that Pose would present this really interesting opportunity, shall I say, to where people were going to be invested in the characters, but they were also going to be invested in the stories and identities of the people portraying the characters, simply because it's so historic in that we have 5 transgender women as series regulars, which had never happened before. And so the conversation around identity, we've been having conversations around whether or not cisgender people should be playing transgender people, or whether straight people should be playing gay people. Like that conversation has been happening.
Right.
But have a show that's made up mostly of LGBTQ plus folks, it was going to come up. And so I was afraid of that coming up.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful things about it is that it came up and I had to figure out what my answers were going to be. And I have been able to really embrace my journey in a way that I maybe wouldn't have embraced it if Pose had never happened for me. It's also really stretched me as an artist. It has working with such talented people, working for Ryan Murphy, with Ryan Murphy and Janet Mock and Stephen Canals and all of the incredible producers and FX and Fox and Disney. It just has, it's called me to level up, and I'm grateful for that opportunity because I believe iron sharpens iron. I love being in situations where I'm challenged and where people are smarter than me and where they call me forth to be all that I'm supposed to be.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you doing more of that. So tell people what they can expect on Monday for this dramatic reading. We got a little bit in that trailer, and that was heavy. That little bit was heavy. So what can people expect, and what do you want people to walk away with from All Boys Aren't Blue?
Yeah, it's going to be a full evening. They've got a whole program set up. I'm like, y'all better do it then. It ain't just a reading. You're going to get art show and a DJ and a Q&A and all kinds of stuff going on. So there's that. But you also are going to get readings from 3 different chapters in the book. Dramatic readings from 3 different chapters in the book that are from 3 different sections of George's life. The chapter that I read is the first chapter in the book where George talks about their journey as a young boy, as a toddler, and you get George as a young person in college, and George dealing with the death of his grandmother. And so, like, it's a beautiful snippet of all of the beautiful things that are in his New York Times bestselling book. Um, and George also has a TV deal with Gabrielle Union's production company, and so
Yes.
there's going to be a television series. So it's a preview of all of the amazing things that George M. Johnson is going to be doing.
That's yours. Okay. Well, what is next for Dyllon Burnside? You know, your name is your name, and it sounds it's such a big name. It just looks like it should be at a marquee somewhere. Always was, and you always were a star. It just had that star quality from the time I met you and your teens. Just whatever you were given, you attacked it with this tenacity that you knew, okay, this kid is different. So what is next, or what do you want to do next with your career?
Oh, I want to do so many things, Crystal. I'm working on music again, which has been so exciting. I released a single in July.
Yes, I was ready to talk about the video, because you did the video.
Yes.
I got the video you're with your mother, who was your manager early on, and she was like your camera person, your makeup, your glam. Like the video, let's talk about that really quickly. Oh my God, I forgot about that. That was on my list of things as well, because you did that. You released that during the pandemic, so you were here in Georgia, quarantining with your mom. And you put out this really, really powerful music video. Talk really briefly about that.
Yeah, so I just, I feel like I always want my work to reflect where I am, and I also wanted to speak to other people where they are. And so I wrote the song back in December before the pandemic happened. And when I was at home with my mom, I felt like, wow, this is crazy. I wrote this song about feeling alone and isolated. And that's exactly what the world is going through right now. So maybe I should put it out. And so I released my song called Silence, which is available anywhere you can stream music. And my mom and I filmed a video for it at home during our quarantine together. And so it was a really beautiful experience for us to get to work together again in that way. And also just to challenge myself to be creative, because I think what the pandemic did for me is it freed me up and made me stop thinking about perfection, because it's like nobody could shoot a fucking real video, like a video with crew and everything now. So like, at least I can do something. So I shot it on our camera and on my iPhone, and we're done.
And it looks amazing. You guys, definitely, not shameless plug, definitely go check it out. But you can watch I want them to see the actual video. The video is on YouTube.
Yeah.
So check out the video for Silence. Dyllon Burnside, shot by his mother, Shantae, and the entire thing. So cool to see that, because I know, like I said, your mom was your manager, was part of like shaping your early career that brought you to where you are today. So again, we're so proud of you, so very proud of you, but not surprised by any of your success, because it's there. There is a quote that says, "That which makes us different is our superpower." And I wonder if you found that to be true in your journey thus far, because you're just starting, you're shining, but you have so much more to do. So I'm wondering if you have found that the thing that has made you different, or that you might have thought made you different, has been something that's proven to be a superpower.
Absolutely. So I gave a speech back in January of 2020 at the Human Rights Campaign Gala, where they honored me with the Disability Award. And I said, authenticity is a superpower. And I fully believe that when you allow yourself to be seen completely authentically, with no shame, that you tap into a power that you never knew you had. And the universe honors that by welcoming you to that which is your real life.
Right.
And that is what I've been able to see happen for me. And so every day I'm just challenging myself to show up in that way, in that confident stillness of, this is who I am, and this is my life. And so
it's my life.
And I wrote a song called Superpowers that maybe y'all will get to hear soon.
You'll have to come back and share that. I know you've got to go. Let people know one last time where they can tune in on Monday, February 8th for All Boys Aren't Blue.
Yes, go to, we'll give you all a link, Crystal, so you can post it, but go to Inhale ENT. I think that is Nathan's, the director's page. There's an Eventbrite set up there where you can go and log in and sign up, and
Okay.
send you a link for watching All Boys Aren't Blue.
Okay, and this is, so it's go to Inhale. This has been put on by Inhale Entertainment and the Black Leadership AIDS Crisis Coalition.
Yes.
Putting this on. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's good to see you. Hopefully I'll get to see you in person soon, but it's good to see you. And like I said, we're so proud of you. Very proud.
Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, my love.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a very special edition of Reality Check brought to you midweek. Make sure that you check that out on Monday. All Boys Aren't Blue. We'll make sure to get a link up so that you can go ahead and check that out. Dyllon Burnside, Jennifer Lewis, so many other talented actors are a part of this production, and it has a message that is extremely important. So hopefully you guys will get a chance to check that out. Also, I hope that you'll be able to check me out on Friday at 9 o'clock. We'll be back with Reality Check recap with one of the ladies from the Southern Belle show on OWN. We'll be having a great Reality Check conversation about the show and find out what's going on with them Southern Belles on OWN. So on the Belle Collective, actually, that's what it is. The Southern Belles from the Belle Collective. So check in with me Friday at 9 o'clock. I will see you guys then. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week and make sure you keep it real. This is Crystal with Reality Check. I'll see you then.